The most difficult moment I remember was like just having lack of sleep. I get a lot of comments where like, how did you travel on your own? How did you just leave your baby? Yeah, it was crazy. It's a hard battle when you're fighting that. I feel like in this economy, raising a baby is super expensive. We're reaching a year milestone with baby Suri, and I'm currently situated in my office, Suri's bathroom, where I'm still residing to do all my work. I have my DJI Osmo. It's a really easy setup, so all I need to do is prop it up. And I want to answer some questions for this video. Questions that you have asked on Instagram, and I'm going to go through it. The first question is... Yes, I did. And the way I did it was I did a slow transition. So I started noticing that my breast milk was decreasing around the 10-month period. Partially my fault. When you are just exclusively pumping, being religious about the time is so important. But sometimes I would extend it a little bit more because I was a little bit lazy. But when you are on a schedule, you need to be consistent or else it's just going to drop. You need to make sure that you are consistently, exclusively pumping. When you are exclusively pumping, you need to maintain a very solid on-time schedule so that your body can keep up with the flow. But everybody is different, so I just noticed that when I wanted more breast milk, I would actually go back to an earlier schedule and keep pumping maybe like every 2 hours until it became consistent again, and go back. So it started out with 3 hours, and then eventually every single week I go up to 5, every 6, every 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and eventually I reached 12-hour mark. So I stopped pumping when she turned 1. So on March 10, I said I pack up and I go, and that's done. For me, when they grow teeth, it's just not for me. You cannot tell anything right now. They're still developing in other aspects and picking up different behaviors from their surroundings. Nothing that I've noticed yet. The most difficult moment was early on. One thing that I do want to take note of is I have a privilege of having a helper that assists me with changing the diapers, keeping up with naps, and also nighttime and feeding. So I get a lot of time off. So the only thing that I can base it off is earlier on when I didn't have as much help as I do now, like a daily kind of thing. The most difficult moment I remember was like just having lack of sleep because you're pumping every 2 hours, so you don't have that long stretch of sleep. I remember just not knowing why Suri was crying, and it was so difficult for me because I'm a problem solver and I like to figure out why things are the way they are. And I think I just clicked the switch where I just said, you know what, if I'm going to make my life hard by trying to figure out why rather than just understanding that babies will be babies and sometimes you will just not know because they don't know how to communicate, then it made things a lot easier for me because it switched my mindset and I wasn't too worried about that anymore. I wasn't so stressed on it. But that was one of my most difficult moments. I feel like it's just my genetic makeup. Ever since I was a kid, I love putting things in order. I remember I would like organize my toys a certain way. I was just way more organized than my mom in general. And maybe I just grew up in an environment where there was like a lot of clutter. My mom wasn't that cluttered, but she was cluttered in that she would like, you would have a bunch of shampoo products, like you wouldn't finish it, that kind of thing. So for me, I need to make sure that it's just genetic. Although when I was pregnant, one thing that I did notice was I was super lazy. Like I really understood how people have difficulty waking up in the morning and doing anything because it was the laziest I've ever felt. I didn't want to do anything. All I wanted to do was sleep. Yeah, it was crazy. It's a hard battle when you're fighting that. But of course I had a baby in me, but at the same time, like I just did not want to do anything. I was just so tired majority of the time, and it's absolutely okay. I just gave up and I just didn't want to do anything. In fact, I used a lot of my sick leaves because I was just so exhausted. Suri's milk is powder formula now, and it is recommended by our pedia, and we are using HIPP, H-I-P-P. Yes, I have Pat and I also have a helper right now. She takes care of Suri full time. This gives me the opportunity to work, and this is a privilege that I have, and I acknowledge that. So I get a lot of time to myself, more so than a lot of moms who do this on their own. A lot of my experiences are based from it. That's why if you want to listen to advice about splitting time, I would say that you would need to talk to somebody else, because I have the privilege of having a helper take care of my daughter and do a lot of the things and give me the opportunity to work on other things at a different time. Because I have help, I'm a pretty chill mom. I think that I don't have mom guilt. I'm okay with leaving Suri for a period of time. I recently went to Korea and I did not feel bad at all, because I was just at home for the past 2 years, and I told myself I'm going to make the most out of this and I'm just going to enjoy. I want to recommend to moms that you should enjoy the opportunity to leave and go on a solo trip, because that is one of the best experiences ever. Like, it's just so liberating. It's free. You're not responsible for anybody. You're just really enjoying your time. And that was so awesome. And I highly recommend it to anyone who has the privilege of doing that. I got my Softplay equipment from Shopee. I can send all the links below. I just searched a Softplay equipment, toys, etc., and then I ordered it. I'm fine with one, honestly. I am happy with one. I feel like in this economy, raising a baby is super expensive. I'm okay with focusing all my energy onto one. I really want to do other things, and I think balancing 2 children is not in my books, but if it is, then I will have to make time for it, but it's just not in the cards for me. I've been an only child. I appreciated being an only child. I like being an only child, and I was happy with it. Something for me is that getting back to work and rewiring my brain after leaving for so long was very interesting. But one of the tips that I did was, it's all mental gymnastics, right? You are fighting with your brain and working through things inside your brain, because otherwise you can get anything done if you have a perfect mindset. So my tip is really just readjusting your mindset and understanding that it's time to grind. You need to make money to go on trips or things that you want to do. So adjust your mindset. How much you stare at your child. If I'm in a room with Suri, I just look at her a lot. Amount of time you look at your child is just surprising to me. You're just like, oh, you're just in awe. I feel like advice is really difficult when you're a mom, because it's different for every single person. Your living situation, your socioeconomic status, and where you are at a certain age, different advices apply to different things. I think a very general advice that I would give, just really let go a little bit. I get a lot of comments where like, how did you travel on your own? How did you just leave your baby? You need to live your life as well. You have a child, and that doesn't mean that you are neglecting them if you are letting them go and have their own time with other individuals. You are giving them the opportunity to flourish independently on their own without you. And to me, that is so valuable, because I don't want to coddle. I want to give them the strength and independence to do things on their own, but also learn how to love your parents. By doing that, still be able to do both. Giving that time to yourself is so important. Like, don't feel bad about it. But I can't tell you how to feel, because everyone feels things differently. And for me, I just don't want to ever have that guilt. It's just not in me to feel guilty about anything. So I set up a lot of play gyms. For me, I want to encourage Suri to meet her milestones whenever she's ready. One thing that I like to do is we like to take her out a lot. Pat and I are very introverted in that we don't go out as much. So what we did was every time we go out with Suri, we bring her out so that she's exposed to the environment other than her home. We take her on for walks, and walks meaning like just on a stroller, and give her the opportunity to use her legs a lot. During playtime, we let her crawl. I let her bite things. I allow her to do a lot of that stuff, because I feel like she really needs to feel out all the textures of different things. So I give up in that aspect where I'm like, oh, it fell on the floor once, whatever. But at the same time, you also need to take precaution, because there is certain bacteria that can get some children sick. So of course, I am taking that precaution to make sure that I'm not just being reckless when it comes to letting her do whatever. Suri does not have a skincare routine. However, I know that children's skin barriers are a lot thinner. So she applies lotion on the daily, like a face lotion as well as a regular lotion to kind of help build up her skin barrier strength. We started doing that, just a fragrance-free type of lotion. My stance has always been one is enough, one and done, because in this economy, it's just not it. It's just so expensive. And I like to invest my time on one thing, okay? Although I like to dabble with various activities, you need to dedicate a lot of time to an individual. And to me, having multiple children, you can't divide that much time. And I also want to invest a lot of time with development, etc. So one is enough for me. So milestones. So far, Suri has been able to walk starting around like 11 months. She was already standing at 11 to 10 months, and then she started taking her first steps and she would fall. And then I think she was able to walk quite well towards the beginning of her 12th month. One thing that we do is just let them fall as much as possible. And of course, you want to take precautions with the head. Suri takes a lot of precautions. She's actually super duper careful as a baby because she like feels out the area. She makes sure she lands without just falling onto the floor directly, just putting all her weight on. She's slowly and she's like very careful. And I feel like that's because she has a lot of practice with falling, because I just let her fall. And again, take these advice with a grain of salt because everything applies differently to every single person. So this wraps up my half-year Q&A, and I hope to continue more because I feel like it's nice to look back and just reflect on my thoughts back then. So that's it. Hope this helps. See you next time. Let me know if you have any more questions. I'll try to answer them. Bye.